thing that actors do, or at least I perceive that they do it, is that they draw on experiences in their life or people they've known. Now, I wondered how you built Rainman, because there is a structure within the film. I mean, Rainman he has to go from A to B to X to Y, and he has to go through certain motions so that the story holds together. What did you draw on? Just created it out of your head?
No, we were lucky enough to find a couple of people who were autistic and had savant-like abilities that we could draw from, and they were invaluable. And as important, or more importantly, their families were invaluable, and they helped us. And in some cases, members of their family were able to almost explain to you, having spent a lifetime with them. Unlike this character who was institutionalized, they had raised these siblings, or and these brothers or sisters or daughters or sons, and had been with them all their lives, and they were able to show us in the script where it was out of kilter with what they had experienced. And it was interesting that in both families there was such a sameness in their critiques of the character. So the first desire was to get close to the purity of the character. Purity, and it's the wrong word. To get close to the integrity of the illness, and not to be disingenuous to it. To try to Barry Levinson and Tom Cruise, by the way, and it wasn't even his character, would go out with me and a couple of these guys with their brothers, in some cases their mothers, and spent time. I read once that De Niro moved in with Jake LaMotta for Raging Bull. We didn't quite go that far, but that was a part of the process.
Well, because Tom was also learning how to play opposite. But I mean, in real life, maybe mothers are playing opposite their kids, and sometimes they just don't understand where it's coming from.
In a funny way, I think Tom had the toughest job in the movie, because once I found a way to do it, I hope I did, I think I did, Tom had to play with someone, because the movie really is basically us in a car. Tom had to find a way to interact with someone who wasn't going to make eye contact, who wasn't going to converse with him in the conventional sense, and to somehow be able to have a strong inner life going, so that he could feel and react in a condensed way what the parents and brothers felt of the real people we had interviewed over a lifetime. He had to do in this short amount of time, this week, which in a sense, whatever it is, 6 or 7 days that we're together. And I think he was fascinated by the stories that these relatives of these case histories that we were with told, with the stories that they told him. He was always coming to me and say, I just talked to so-and-so, do you know what they said when... I remember Tom was in the trailer once with me when we were shooting in the first 2 weeks, and I had gotten, after all these months of research, suddenly, as it happens, someone had sent me a cassette which I had never heard before, which was the audio portion of a radio show of a father of an autistic child, about a 4 or 5-year-old child, daughter I think he had, talking to a doctor on the radio show. And one thing that father said, when Tom and I were listening to it, we both broke down, and it was a key to the film for us. And that was, he said, you don't know what it's like. I don't think people really know how fortunate they have to have normal, healthy children. You don't know what it's like to have a child that won't hug you. You don't know what it's like to have a child who you know if you left tomorrow could care less. he said, I go to supermarkets sometimes and I see the parents of children say, stop touching that, don't they, get over here, blah, blah, blah. And he said, and I want to be able to say to them, don't you know what you've got? He said, if my kid once, he didn't say kid, whatever her name was, if my child once at night would put her arms around me and kiss me and say, good night, Daddy, he says, I would give up the rest of my life. And you could hear him almost crying when he was saying it. He says, you could take me away then. That's it, fine. That's it, just give me that. And in a sense, there is a thread to that. I think that as much as anyone, or more than anyone, I think Tom understood that. And I think if the film delivers, it delivers because he not only understood it, but he was able to convey, I think he does, when I see the film, no one to say, I'm a little too closely involved with it, but he seems to always deliver that in an unspoken way, in every scene, in the most interesting way.